Welcome to ENGL 101. And so this is going to be your welcome to the first week of the 6-week class. This class is going to go by really, really fast. So you need to start right now to start thinking about what will be the topic for your narrative essay. So for your narrative essay, you want to think about a turning point event in your life, or why you came back to Fortis College. So what is a narrative essay? A narrative essay is when you talk about events in your life. Now there's this difference between a narrative story versus a narrative essay. When we write a story, we have a story structure where you have a triggering event, then you have rising action, climax, descending action, and then a resolution. In other words, when we write a story, we want to inform the reader or we want to entertain the reader. You have a beginning, middle, and end to your story, just like you would if you watched a television story where you have usually they find the body at the very beginning, and then the climax is when they find the suspect and say, oh, you're the one who did it, and the ending would be finding justice. So that's usually the story structure of a TV show, for instance. But when that would be for a story in which you just tell chronologically what happened. But when we write an essay, we're not just writing about what happened. What we're doing is we're making a claim, and then we back up that claim with our body with body paragraphs. And so that's the difference between an essay and a story. And so when we write a narrative essay, we make a claim, like I would say, I learned from this experience to always give people second chances. And that would be the life lesson. Okay, so you always have to include the life lesson as the last sentence of the introduction and the first sentence of the conclusion. And then you tell your story to back up your life lesson. So let's give an example. So basically you're going to tell a story with a moral, just like a fable. So an example narrative essay would begin with a hook, 5 background sentences, and then you have your life lesson, and then you tell your story to back it up. So the hook. So have you ever had someone throw up on you and you give that person a second chance? And then you would say that and then you tell your story, the 5 background sentences. If it wasn't for my wife, she was the one who taught me that you should always give people a second chance. The life lesson that I learned from this experience is to give everyone a second chance. That first impression isn't the main impression you get from a person. For instance, when I was a soldier, I walked into a bar and I was relaxing with friends, and I think I drank a bit too much beer. This is all based on a true story. Not about my experience, but one of my military students. So my military student went into his military bar to relax, and he was with his friends and they were laughing, having a good time. And he was very young, and he drank a little bit too much beer. He wasn't used to holding his beer at that age. And then in walks into the bar a beautiful woman, red hair, green eyes, and as soon as he saw that beautiful woman, he knew that woman would be his wife. So he decided to walk up to that woman in order to, ask her out on a date. But he had drunk a bit too much beer, and he ended up throwing up all over her. And so that's the 5 background sentences. And then you would have the life lesson. Okay, well, I'm still in the first paragraph, by the way. And so the life lesson, which I'm at the end of the first paragraph, where I'm saying, from this experience, I learned to give people second chances. Then paragraph 2, you talk about the bar. Paragraph 3, you talk about how beautiful the woman is. In paragraph 4, you talk about how you threw up all over this beautiful woman, because the paragraph 4 is climax. Okay, the climax of the story is the most exciting part of the story. So in the climax, you write about how you threw up over this beautiful woman. You were trying to tell her how beautiful she looks, You were trying to ask her out on a date, but instead you couldn't hold your beer and upchucked all over her beautiful dress. And then you think to yourself, and then you pass out in that order, okay? Now, then the woman looks at his eyes and sees the intensity, the authenticity, and she's not at all put off by the vomit. Why? She's a medic. Remember, this is a military bar. Everybody within that military unit, whether you're a medic or you're, they all hang out at the same place. So she's used to having people throw up all over her because that's her job. She's a medic, after all. People throw up all over her all the time. That's the nature of the beast, of her job. So that's why she wasn't put off by the throw up. The guy thought he lost the chance. So what she did was, when he passed out, she put her phone number on top of his vomit and left. Said, "Call me, you've got the cutest eyes." And then she left. And when he woke up, he couldn't believe he had scored. That he had, after throwing up all over her, he scored, which is so cute. And then the rest of the conclusion is, now, he says, and now I give people, now I'm in the conclusion, okay? I finished telling the story. I've done my paragraph 2, 3, and 4. And so now I repeat my thesis statement as the first sentence of the conclusion. And then I would say, and then I realized that from this experience, I learned to give people second chances, because my wife, she didn't just turn away and walk away after I threw up all over her. She gave me a second chance. So now, when I'm now a military recruiter, and I'm also a job hunter. In other words, he helps people find jobs, and he recruits people to the military. And he says, when I hear a sob story, or when I hear someone has been fired, I give them a second chance. Even if the person says, well, I was fired because of, most of the time, if you get fired, that's it. The person, they're not interested in you. But he says, but I learn to give people second chances, and even if somebody's been fired, I will hire them. Because I learned from this experience, you always give people second chances. Period. And that's the end of, so therefore, the main idea of that story is that he learned a life lesson to not just superficially judge people, but to give them a second chance. So that's pretty much what you're going to write about in your narrative. That's actually a true story. So that's what you're going to write about. Think of a time when you learn a valuable life lesson about something. And then if you can't think of any life lesson stories, then you can do the old standby, which is a very popular. I came back to Fortis College in order to learn about how to be a medical technician, to get a stable job, and to have a career, and to be a role model for my kids. And then paragraph 2 would be about being a role model for the kids. Paragraph 3 would be about having a stable job. And then paragraph 3 would be about fulfilling your dream, or something, whatever it was I said. And then paragraph 5 is your conclusion. And you still have the thesis statement as the last sentence. That's the thesis statement. I came back to Fortis College because. So that's the thesis statement, and that will go as the last sentence of the introduction and the first sentence of the conclusion. So you could also write that as your essay topic if you can't think of any life lesson stories. My nurses usually say, I became a nurse because I want to be a role model for my kids, I want a job with benefits, and I want to help people. So those what my 12-week class, that's what they write. So you got to think of a narrative essay topic for your week 1 outline. And so you just fill out the worksheet. Okay, so you're going to be learning about the writing process. And so the writing process consists of 3 stages. Pre-writing, where you write an outline. Writing, where you transfer that outline into a 5-paragraph essay. And then rewriting, where we're going to give each other peer review feedback, and you're going to correct mistakes. So those are the 3 stages of the writing process. And so this week, start thinking about your essay topic. And then for your week 1 quiz, I gave everyone a week 1 quiz study guide. And so it would be for you guys, I attached all of the quiz and study test guides to your welcome email. So the very first email you ever got from me, welcome to ENGL 101, has all of your test guides. So you should check the attachments there. So that way, and I attached your midterm study guide and your final grade study guide. So that way, and I also attached a chapter 1 through 14 study guide. So that would include all of the chapters of all of the test questions that will be on all of your tests and quizzes. So you can study all of that for your tests and quizzes. So you have to go find your welcome letter, which is the very first email I sent you. And then if you have any questions, you can always email me at any time. And so I think this pretty much ends week 1. Oh yeah, another thing is you have 2 week 1 forums, okay? And this confuses students. You've got 1 week 1 discussion where you introduce yourself. Well, that's where you guys can then hang out. That is not a graded forum. You still have to fill out the week 1 forum that says, what does writing mean to you? That's a graded forum, and that's where you will get a grade for what and then you can reintroduce yourself to, so that's why I don't go into the introduce yourself forum, because that's just for students to hang out and say whatever they want, kind of like a student cafeteria, similar to the course. And also another ungraded forum is the course cafe, where you can hang out as well, so I won't go in there. If you have any questions, the best way to contact me is to email me. And so that way I check my email just about every day, several times a day. And so if you have questions, and also every Wednesday I have a live Zoom, and I just had a live Zoom with one of the students today, and we discussed everything. So those are office hours, and I'm not going to do a lecture. I'm just going to answer any questions that you may have. And another thing you're going to learn in this class is APA. Why? Because in your other classes, the reason why we're learning APA and research papers is because in your other classes, you may have to write APA papers for your other classes. So if you have any questions, okay, feel free to email me at any time. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to the Professor H Writing channel. So I hope to see you at future Zoom lectures, and I've put the link, the Zoom meeting link in your announcements and also in your emails. So you can find it there. Or you could always email me and ask for it again. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me at any time.